Earlier this year, I opened a brand new Etsy shop selling t-shirts, mostly to see if I could grow it into a store making six figures. And today, I'm sharing what's been going on, how much I've earned, and my creative process. Hi, I'm Jai, graphic designer by day, Etsy seller by night. And I've been sharing updates every month on my Etsy stores. One of them is a digital product shop, which I opened last year, and the other one is this new one. It's been interesting watching my shops take shape, so if you want to see where this all started, I'll link those earlier videos. But for now, let's talk about June and July. Before I get into the numbers, I should probably explain how I actually run this shop. So I use a print-on-demand setup, which basically means that I design the shirts, list them on Etsy, and when someone buys from my Etsy store, a production partner prints and ships them out to my customers for me. So I'm not handling any physical inventory myself. For me, that partner is Printify. I landed on them because their base costs are lower than most and they have a huge variety of products to choose from. And honestly, they're just easy to use. Later in this video, I'll be walking you through my design process. But for now, let's just get into the numbers because I know that's what a lot of you are here for. So just to bring you up to speed, here's how my shop had performed from January to May. So far, I have gotten 134 orders. And to show you the growth of my shop, in January, I didn't get any orders. But in February, things started to pick up with 10 orders, March with 20 orders, April with 52 orders, and May with 52 orders as well. This has gotten me a total revenue of $1,832. Now, because this is print on demand, of course, I don't get to keep all that money. I've had to pay for the t-shirt costs as well as all the Etsy fees. And up until the middle of May, I had actually been using Etsy ads quite aggressively. So that was another expense right there. In actuality, I'm actually down by about $250 in profit. But because I had actually started getting organic sales, I was optimistic that in June, I was gonna start making back that money. So now let's get into June. That month, I had gotten 1,095 visits to my shop, and with a conversion rate of 2.6%, I received 28 orders. Now, 28 orders is like half of what I made in May. It's a lower amount than I expected. And while I could be disappointed, June and July are actually considered the slowest performing months of the year. So I have to be fine with that, because at least my shop was performing organically. Or so I thought. I had actually made a mistake, and something that I don't understand about Etsy is why they keep advertising data locked when your ads aren't turned on. So while I was recording my last recap video, I had to turn on the ads to get the stats. And I forgot to turn the ads off again. So for the second half of June, I had been advertising and I didn't realize it until July. So yeah, I didn't think I would have to anymore, but later on, I'll be showing you my ads dashboard. Now for July, I got 1,204 visits to my shop, and with a conversion rate of a slightly higher 2.9%, I got 35 orders for the month for a revenue of $715. So anyway, onto my ads dashboard. I recorded my last recap video on June 18, and thankfully, I only had a small budget set, so the costs weren't as high as my first few months. But from my advertised listings, I spent $28 and got 3 orders for a revenue of $64 in June, which is a return on ad spend or ROAS of 2.29, which is really low for me because I need at least 5 to be profitable. And in July, I only realized that my ads were actually running on July 7, so I turned them off for a while. And then on July 14, I was like, screw it. I wanted to do another experiment. So I turned them on again from July 14 to 29. What I did was I actually wanted to test my shirts in batches. Previously, I had just all or most of them turned on, but this time I grouped my shirts with specific aesthetics together to see if certain design styles get a more positive response. So I grouped like boho shirts versus text-based versus coquette, something like that. And I would let them run until they reached a threshold of about $5. And at the end of it, it didn't really come out as conclusive. I think my budget was too low for proper testing and reach. But at the end of the month, I spent about $27 for 4 sales for a revenue of $85. That's a ROAS of 3.18, so that's still too low. Now let's go into my monthly statements for the final breakdown. It's in Philippine pesos because I'm from the Philippines. But as for June, my gross profit is about 31,303 pesos. I computed my shirt costs on Printify and they added up to be around 29,242 pesos, leaving me with 2,060 pesos in actual net profit for June. So that's around $36. And for July, my gross profit is 39,656 pesos, with my shirt costs being about 36,192, and that leaves me with 3,464 pesos or $61 in profit. So we did it. We're finally profitable. And while I'm still not in the clear with my $250 balance from the first 5 months, I can start making that money back. And with Q4 just around the corner, hopefully that momentum just keeps building. I know my journey doesn't look like what you usually see here on YouTube, where some people seem to hit it big in just the first few months. And then there's me, taking things slow and doing what feels right for me. Honestly, I've heard plenty of advice like go for the teachers or nurses niche or do group listings for families. And yes, those can be great strategies, but they're not necessarily things that I see myself enjoying for the next 5 years. That's why I decided to sell in the pet owners category because I'm a pet owner myself and I actually enjoy designing for this broad audience. So if you can relate, drop a comment below saying we're all in this together and let's keep lifting each other up. Anyway, whether you've just stumbled across print on demand or you've been selling for a bit, here's a peek at how I design and publish my shirts on Etsy. Previously, I had been using Photoshop to design my shirts, but recently I made the switch to Kittl and I'm actually amazed at how much simpler and quicker it has made my design process because it has so many built-in templates that I could use. And previously, I had to make everything from scratch, only to end up with similar designs to what's already in here. So I'm just gonna search for a template that I like, and we're gonna start from there. Maybe let's try this tennis club template, because it's athletic, and it's trendy right now, and it's just a classic type of design, right? So with Kittl, we have artboards, unlike, let's say, Canva, where you have pages. And for this, I want to make it Halloween themed because that's coming right up. So I'm just going to switch this to something like antisocial trick-or-treater. So let's just adjust the size to make it fit our artboard and fix the spacing. So the text is getting cut off a bit, but I'm just gonna go here down to this letter spacing option and we're just gonna make it 0 to just even that out. And I'm gonna reduce the size to make it fit the allotted text box for this. Okay. I'm gonna change this Columbia University into something like a funny quote. Let's just say, give me my candy. I want to make this bigger, so let's just enlarge the antisocial text. And so for this established date, I actually want to keep it in the design, but I want to make it a personalizable element. And I'm going to do that with Printify later on, so I'm just going to delete this for now. Now for our image, I'm gonna delete those brackets and I'm just gonna make a new image using AI. So Kittl has a lot of AI models here available. I'm just gonna pick Google Imagen 4. So I entered this prompt, a black and white line illustration of a trick-or-treat pumpkin bucket with candy overflowing. And it gave us a good result actually. I think I could use this for this design. So I'm just gonna do remove background and vectorize so that we could resize this and not lose any of its quality. Let's just rearrange the elements and center everything. And I'm gonna change this to orange. Actually, I'm gonna change everything to orange. So let's just select everything, and down here in selection colors, you already have like all the saved colors in the document. So let's just click on this orange that we used, and immediately all the elements that were red are now in this orange. Now that we have our design, we could just click on download or export here on the upper right, and let's choose PNG. For the size, I'm gonna go with 3000 by 3000 pixels. We're gonna click on remove background so that it's transparent, and download. Now on to Printify, I will select this unisex garment dyed t-shirt by Comfort Colors. It is currently their best-selling type of t-shirt brand. And you could choose Printify Choice. That's where they decide who is the most available production partner to print this for you. Or you could choose manually. Personally, I go with Monster Digital. Here on the right, you could select your variants, like your colors. And mostly, I just go with 6 to 8 types of colors, because that just reduces decision fatigue for the customers and for me as well, right? So I don't have to keep thinking up new colors to use for each type of design. So I keep them uniform and go with some of their best-selling colors like white, pepper, black, ivory, and some of my personal favorites, which are blossom or pink and yam. Now we're gonna upload the design we created from Kittl a while ago, and let's just fix up the position. So make sure that the colors don't clash with the t-shirt. And so far, only this orange looks kind of weird because there's not enough contrast. So I could fix that up later by adding maybe just a plain white version of this design or a plain black one. So earlier I said that I would like to add a personalizable element. So here we're just gonna go to personalize on the left side of the page and click on personalizable text. And I want it to be a date. So let's type here EST, let's say 1992. And I'm gonna choose a different font for this, maybe this one. It kind of matches the one here on top. And what happens is that when the customer enters the date that they want, it would automatically update this when you go to have this printed. And this changes every time someone places an order. Let's just change this to our orange right here. Let's just use this eyedropper. And there we have the date on all of our shirts. Now let's just go to save product. And here you could enter your title, your description, and your tags, which will be synced to your Etsy listing. These are, of course, some of the most important parts of your Etsy SEO, but I won't go into much detail for now on this. Maybe I'll make a separate video in the future. But for now, let's just enable personalization. And let's give some instructions like, please enter the date you want printed on this shirt. Then let's give an example like EST 1994. Then of course you choose your shipping method, then set up your prices depending on what profit margins you want to have. And then I'm actually going to click on hide in store because I'm going to add my mockup images separately later on. Then I'll just unclick this mockups. So these are the things that will be synced to the listing, and we're gonna click on publish. And that's literally all it takes to go from an idea in your head to a product in your shop. Now, obviously, there's still more you need to do to get eyes on your listing and turn them into consistent sales, especially on Etsy. But the good news is, it all builds from this foundation. If you want to dive deeper into the strategy side of running an Etsy shop, I've got more videos on my channel and I'll be releasing new ones soon. In the meantime, if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. It really helps me out. And if you want to stick around for more, hit subscribe and I'll catch you in the next video.